Hi, Tina Marshall here with your Feel Good Friday message, and I want to talk to you today about the different stages of grief. And this is something I've been dealing with for the past few weeks since my mom passed. You never know how it's going to hit you or when it's going to hit you, and it's not what I expected at all. I obviously was a mess the day my mom passed, and then I got restless and I didn't want to be thinking about things. So we went out, went shopping, and I've been very busy just taking care of stuff almost every day. But there are moments, obviously, I'll come across something when I'm cleaning things out. I'll find a picture or a note from my mom or my dad, and something that just kind of sets me off, and I have a little crying spell. But I really thought that I would be in so much grief and having, this time to process the grief. And I feel like I haven't been utilizing it, but I also feel like it hasn't hit me the way I expected it to. And there's no right or wrong way to grieve, but the point is that you allow yourself to grieve. And believe me, I'm trying to allow myself to grieve. And, I mentioned in a past video that I kind of realized one of the reasons I'm probably not crying a lot is that I feel my parents all the time. They're around, they're making their presence known. I'm talking to them. I feel them responding to me when I talk to them, and that's really comforting. But when the physical part is brought to the forefront, that's what's difficult. And I'm prepared today. So sorry, I'm probably going to be crying on you. But that's the whole point of this. I had kind of a broken open moment recently. My best friend was in town from New York visiting, and she had been talking about this movie that she loved. And I thought, well, I've been meaning to watch it. Let me watch it before she comes over. I had a couple hours before she was coming over, and I watched it. It was a great movie. It wasn't what I expected. And there was this really strong mother-daughter storyline, and it just set me off. This woman taking care of her mother, and then the daughter had a rough time, and then the mother turned around and was taking care of her, and it made me feel like, oh, I want that. I want my mom here. And so I just let myself have a really good cry. And the thing is, my friend was coming over to go with me to Forest Lawn, and it was going to be my first time there since they put my mom's name on the plaque on the niche where my family is. Her parents and her sister, my Aunt Tana, are there. And my friend's stepbrother, who passed away from cancer as a teenager in the 80s, he's there in a courtyard not far from where my parents are. So we were both going to go and see our families and put flowers there for them. And so I knew we were going to be doing that. And so when she came over, it was nice to just kind of collapse on her for a few minutes and just, get some physical support and be able to cry on someone's shoulder, literally. Thanks for hanging in there with me. And so I kind of got that out of my system. And then we went up to Forest Lawn, and it's so beautiful there. Excuse me, my family is at the one in Glendale. And it's one of the most beautiful places. And I have loved going there for years, even before my Aunt Tana passed away and I started going to the niche for her. I would put flowers on for my grandparents all the time. Oh, gardeners are here. Sorry if you can hear that. Going back with my mom in there, and then, oh my God, and seeing her name just made it real. And it was weird. And I don't even know how to describe it, but I finally, had more of that emotion come out. And I was able to have a good cry. Unfortunately, where my family is, it's this really beautiful space. It's a locked garden. You have to have a key to get in, so not just anybody can go in there. And it's a big, huge open courtyard. But there are these little areas, these little kind of garden areas off of the main one. And so my family is actually, there's a level that goes up that's a little bit more secluded area, and then there's another small little other cubbyhole area where there are a bunch of niches, and that's where my family is. And there's a little bench there, so it's nice. You can just sit and be with them for a little while. So we did. And what was awesome was when we were sitting there, this hummingbird came in and hovered in front of me and my friend and took off. And she was like, "Oh my God, a hummingbird," because she knows that my dad shows up as hummingbird. So I don't know if that was my dad or my mom going, "I think I'll be a hummingbird today." I don't know, but it kept coming and hovering around us. And so we put flowers on the niche. I got red roses for my mom because red was her favorite color, and I got pink for my Aunt Tana because pink was her favorite color and she loved pink roses. And then we just sat, and I actually I played Stardust on my phone just for my mom, and I just sat and I cried, and it felt really good. And this is one of those moments where I could let it out, but if I do, you won't be able to understand me, and it will waste all this time with me just crying. And that's not what these messages are for. I will cry on my own time, not on your time. You've had to deal with enough of this recently. But that day was so cathartic for me because I finally let myself cry some more. And I think it was because, like I said, it just felt more real to see my mom's name on the niche. But, that's where her remains are now. I can't just trick myself into thinking when I'm in the living room, she's just napping in the bedroom. I can't do that anymore. So I'm having more moments where I'm allowing myself to cry, and it feels really good. Except for when I'm trying to hold it together and talk. It actually hurts. It physically hurts. It's weird. I feel like I should just end this and go have a good cry. But there are stages, and everybody's stages are different. Everyone's going to experience grief differently and express it differently and allow it to flow through them differently. And I haven't been trying to suppress it. I just enjoyed being busy, and it kept me preoccupied and not focusing on it. But I think as things move forward, there's somebody that I'm on their mailing list, and they were talking about their father had passed away, and she was talking about a year of firsts. The first Christmas without him, the first of his birthday without him, that kind of thing. So I know I'm going to be going through that. I remember going through that after my dad died, and I remember falling apart on Christmas Eve, the first Christmas he wasn't here. That was really hard. And with Mom, I'm going to be going through all these firsts as well without her. And I haven't really hit any of them yet, but this is just the initial stuff that is hitting me. Like, she's actually gone. She's actually gone. And she's in the niche, which she's been talking about and planning for years. It's done. It's done. And so now it's hitting me a little bit more. And then I'll have my moments where I'm fine. I'm over it. I move on. I don't feel like crying at all. And so I'm trying to honor those stages too. It's okay if I'm not crying, or if I don't feel like crying, or something doesn't trigger me. But if something does, I'm going to allow it out and just let it flow. And because it's good. It's good to let it out. It's cathartic. It's good for your body. It's good for you emotionally. And it can be draining as well. The night after this day with my best friend and going to Forest Lawn, I was so exhausted that night. I kind of felt like I did the day after Mom's funeral. I had drank too much after the funeral, but in addition to that, the next day, it all hit me, and I just felt like I can't even move. And that night, this past weekend, after going to Forest Lawn, and finally having that big release between watching that movie and having a big cry, and then actually going and seeing my mom there, I was so tired, and it can take a lot out of you, but it's good. It's necessary because that stuff was all pent up. And the more exhausted you feel, the more stuff you let out. And that's okay. And sometimes it can feel freeing and kind of lighten you up a little bit. And I haven't felt that, but boy, I felt the exhaustion after just allowing the grief to move through me and come out as tears. And it felt really good. And thank you for allowing me to do a little bit of that here right now as well. Obviously, I'm okay at the moment. I've recovered a little bit. And the next time it comes up, I'll allow it to flow. So regardless of how much your grief is flowing or not, just be okay with it. And if you don't feel like feeling it, you might stay busy like I did. But when it comes up, you got to let it out. Just let it out. And sometimes people reach a breaking point where it's been months since somebody passed away, and then something triggers them, and it all comes pouring out. And it might be one big release, or it may be little ones over time. And there's no right or wrong. Just allow it to go the way it works for you. Everybody's different. There's no one right way to grieve. I would say the only right way is just to allow it and to let it come out and let it move through you. So you don't keep it all pent up. That's not going to be good for you physically. So I hope that if you are grieving something or someone, that you are moving through it in a way that works for you and that feels good. And it may sound weird to say that in a way that feels good, but crying and having that release does feel good, and it's necessary. And it can make you feel lighter and help you move forward and work through that grief. So just, it's okay to cry. Allow yourself to cry and allow yourself to feel whatever you're feeling. There's nothing wrong with however you're feeling. It's okay. And I'm trying to do that for myself. Hi, Lovey. So as always, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate you being here with me every week. If you enjoy these messages, remember to subscribe. And if you would like these videos delivered straight to your inbox every Friday, jump over to my website, tanamercer.com, join the mailing list, and you will get a note from me every Friday that only goes out to my list. So thank you for being there for me. Thank you for supporting me and hanging in there while I fell apart a little bit on you today. And however you are falling apart or not is okay. So just be okay with all of it. And just go have a great weekend. I'll see you next time.